You're listening to Wake Up to the Weekend, and this is Halton Happy Hour. And we've got a special guest in the studio just come in. It's Rob. Do you want to say good morning, Rob?
Good morning.
Good morning. Right. Superman by Donovan. And do you like the 60s, Rob?
I love the 60s. It's an era that everybody loves, I think. Everybody likes something about the 60s. And as such, we've got a 60s. 60s are back on the 3rd of September at the Brindley with live bands. And just a celebration of the decade, and hippies in the audience during the Summer of Love, and it should be really we're trying to make it an event rather than just a concert.
I wish I'd been born in before the 60s, so I would have definitely been a hippie.
Well, I was born in the 60s, but I was too young to appreciate it because I was 9 at the end of the 60s, so as a kid you don't appreciate what's going on. But I do remember the Summer of Love. I remember you couldn't go anywhere in Liverpool without hearing If You're Going to San Francisco by Scott McKenzie.
I love that song. Yeah. So what kind of live bands are we talking about? Is it something to do with vocalise? Is it?
Not really. What we've done is we put a live band together from young people, young students actually, and some of them are still at school, still at the high school. But I've got 2 drummers as well, so there'll be 2 drum kits on stage. I think the whole thing is going to be magic for them too as an experience.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, that's great. We'll keep talking to Rob as the show goes on. The next song for you, because we're in Halton Happy Hour, and Rob is going to be talking to us after 10 o'clock about well-being and other things, drama and well-being. So the next song for you coming up in Halton Happy Hour is I Got You by James Brown.
Alright, so I have managed to take over just for a little bit. Sherry is sat right next to me as well. Anyway, I just thought I'd ask a question for our guest, Rob Littler. I went to see the production of The Crucible that you helped direct, and I wanted to know how it felt to be part of the directing team.
Directing classics like The Crucible is always going to be hard because they're very dialogue driven, so the action is quite minimal and you have to portray the story through character. And I found it rather difficult, but fortunately I'm blessed with a brilliant director, Adam Choate, who took over in the final weeks and really lifted it. I'm good at making things happen and then passing it on to people who can polish them, and that's what Adam did for me on that, and similarly he's doing it for the next show. So it was a really, really good thing to be involved in, and I'm passionate about keeping the classics alive for the masses, really, because I think theatre can be elitist, and particularly with classical theatre, and I just think it's a good thing to do.
Have you studied any of the classics at college, Tommy?
I have not studied any of the classics yet. The most classical I've actually studied so far at college would have to be 448 Psychosis.
Right, never heard of it. But we have done Hamlet. And we're bringing Vagina Monologues back this year as well because that was so popular. And then we're looking at lots of things like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and we're looking at some strong Of Mice and Men, some strong dramas for the future.
Of Mice and Men is going to be quite a good show.
I think so.
I quite enjoyed studying that when I was at high school. Anyway, I'll go on to our next song. Alright, so now that song's over, did you think any of the actors were trying to think of the word now, did any of the actors stand out to you, Rob?
I'm always amazed by people who've never done it before. So there was a number of actors on stage in The Crucible that had never acted before. For me, you see, it's a bit biased, but my daughter had never acted before, who played Mary Warren, and I think she was really quite reticent in rehearsals. But once there was an audience, she really came into her own and absolutely surprised me. But I have to say that for me, they were all brilliant and stand out. John Proctor, Elizabeth Proctor, Abigail Williams, the Choates and Claire Choate and Adam and Helen Kiley. Just wonderful actors have come in. And Mike Bignell. We've got some great people learning the craft through VML. And I think it's really important that we look at us as a block, as a whole, rather than as individuals who have talent on different degrees, because we're all learning from each other all the time and growing in the process.
I agree with that opinion very much. As I've witnessed from within Woollywood, you do actually grow with the other actors quite a lot, and it's quite wonderful to watch sometimes.
I agree, and I think it's important that the more proficient actors like Adam and Claire and Helen and that actually nurture the newer people, because then they've got something to be proud of themselves. They've taught downwards, and I think for me as a father, Frankie's involvement in the Crucible has been really special to me, and I think she wants to come back and do other performances, and I think she's going to grow as an individual in the art form.
Do you have any questions, Sherry?
Well, when I come back to the microphone now, I'll ask them more.
They're arguing about who wants to talk to me. It's great.
It just shows how popular you are.
Email in from Georgina. Good morning, Georgina, and go and visit the Helsby Tea Rooms, because Georgina's there and she's going to make you a nice brew. It's a lovely day. Well, it's cloudy, but it's not raining, is it?
It's not raining.
No. Pop along to the Helsby Tea Rooms, and Georgina also says, morning all, you are rocking, Tommy. Fab tunes as usual. Thank you, Georgina. Lovely to hear from you.
Thanks, darling.
And Georgina is in our production of 2. She plays the old woman. So speaking of productions,
Speaking of old women,
speaking of,
can I just mention that Georgina was in my production of Our House 3 years ago.
oh, I remember,
She
brilliant.
sung and danced brilliantly.
Yeah, I remember that.
I went to see that
I'm
as
so
well.
pleased that she's joined us, and she's a fantastic artist as well. She's built quite a bit of our set for the production of 2. That is on July the 4th. There's something for your calendar if you.
I'll be there. I will be there.
So, what was I going to ask, Rob? Well, you spoke about Our House. Have you got any more sort of musical productions lined up?
Well, we're trying to stick to sort of showcases for the time being, because it's phenomenally expensive to stage musicals of the size of Our House. I mean, I'm never saying never. I'd love to do Our House again, actually. But we're doing Mad About the Musicals in July at the studio, Brindley Studio. Then we've got the 60s concert. So that's what we're concentrating on musically at the moment, because I want to diversify a bit and bring in some live musicians and start to create a network of people who want to get involved in different genres, not just the musical theatre genre.
I see, yeah. I've toyed with the idea of putting musicals on, but like you say, it's very, very expensive, isn't it?
It's the licenses that can create the cost, really, initially, I suppose, and then you have to. Most licenses require that you have a live orchestra, and that in itself is such an expense.
Yeah.
We were lucky with Our House. We found a really good musical director who brought in a band cheap. But it still cost us overall nearly £3,000 to have the live band at the show.
Wow.
And that was cheap.
That's the cheap end, yeah. All right. Well, as if you just tuned in, you're listening to Wake Up to the Weekend. This is Halton Happy Hour, and I'm talking to Rob Littler from Victoria Music Limited, and we'll be talking to him more after 10 o'clock about his plans for well-being. And as you know, as I said earlier, mental health is an important issue to consider. 1 in 4 people suffer from depression or anxiety, and it's really much more of a health issue than people realise. I think it's
the one that we don't talk about,
it's
isn't
the
it?
one we don't talk
If someone's
about.
got a broken leg, it's like that guy over there's got a broken leg, but if somebody's got a depression or whatever, what you can't see, people strangely fail from it.
We've all I guess I think every was 4 of us in this room, so 1 of us has suffered from depression or anxiety. I would guess that maybe all 4 of us probably have at one point or another.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So I put an advert on about that. That I Would Be Good. That's the live unplugged. That was Oasis with Round Our Way unplugged version, and we were just talking off the microphones there about the Big Sing. Can you tell us a bit more about the Big Sing, Rob?
The Big Sing started nearly 2 years ago now, I guess, and all it is, it's a weekly session at St Michael's in Runcorn from 7 o'clock on Tuesdays, and people just come along for community. They have a cup of tea, and they sit along and chat, and then when we start singing, we play music bingo, so they each get to pick a number from 1 to however many hundreds, and then whatever song is attached to that number, we then put the backing track on and the lyrics, and we all sing along. And it's as simple as that, and it's all to do with social interaction and really giving people a happy feel to the beginning of the week. For me, it's a great night because I don't have to plan. I can be a part of the process. I mean, there's a charge attached to that. That £4 that they pay to come on a Tuesday, that then pays for the wellbeing sessions we do on Thursday and Friday, which are absolutely free at point of access. So people are enjoying themselves, getting a bit of well-being, and also knowing that they're helping to sustain us and to keep us going. But it's a really nice night.
Is that open to everyone?
It's open to anyone at all can come along, and it's a drop-in, so you don't have to come every week. You can pop along when you're free.
And that's St Michael's Church, is it?
Sorry, yeah, that's St Michael's Church in Runcorn. I'll say by the Lion Pub. I mean, I don't drink, but it's probably but most people know the Lion Pub.
It's Greenway Road, isn't it?
It is,
Greenway
opposite
Road.
the cemetery gates, yeah.
Sounds fab. So get yourself along to that if you fancy.
Everybody's
a little bit of a
welcome.
sing, yeah. I mean, it's really good for the soul singing. I can't sing particularly well, but I do love singing in the car, singing along to songs.
Well, there's lots of people who think they can't sing, and they just sing along, and that's fine. That's what it's all about.
So if you need any of the details about any of this, you can get in touch with me on the Facebook page, or you can email us in on the radio station, which is studio@hcr923fm.com, and I will pass your details on to Rob. But really, just drop in. I think that'd be fine, wouldn't it, Rob?
We'd love to see people, yeah.
Okay, and we'll be talking to Rob a bit more after 10 o'clock with a bit more about well-being. Tommy, get out of my hair and stop putting photos of me on Snapchat. Okay, that was a private thing going on in the studio here. Tommy's threatened to put... Private conversation. Okay, so we've got 5 minutes of the regular show left, and then we've got the extended edition after 10 o'clock. I hope you're enjoying it. Hello to our new listeners out there, we know we've got a few, and somebody's just sent us an MP3 which I haven't heard of, so I'll have to give a shout out to some people and some new listeners we've got out there. Hello to Emma Swain, thank you for listening. Hello Darren Gibbons, to Drew Norwood Green, and Rob's going to say something here. Drew
Norwood Green was one of the people who acted for the first time in The Crucible, played Reverend Paris, found the character and blew us all away. So, yeah, good morning, Drew.
Good morning, Drew. Eileen Felton, hello there, thank you for listening. And Adam Choate, we love Adam, don't we?
Yes,
don't we, Rob? Yes. Okay, well, we've not really got time for another song before 10 o'clock, but stay tuned after 10 o'clock because we've got the extended edition, and I will be doing a longer, more intense interview. In-depth. Intense.
I don't want intense. No,
we don't want intense. No. We want in-depth, don't we? Okay, so don't forget you can email us on... hang on. I've got a button for this one. Hang on. You can email us.
Email your community radio station.
studio@hcr923fm.com.
And you can phone us.
Give HCR a call.
01928 835 291.
Healthwatch Halton is the independent champion for people using local health and social care services in Halton. We listen to what people like about services and what could be improved, and share their views with those with the power to make change happen. We can make a difference, but we can't do it without your feedback. We want to hear about your experiences via our online feedback centre, www.healthwatchhalton.co.uk. It's simple, quick, and you'll be helping us to improve the local services you and your family use. Your voice counts. Call.
And that's Haircut 100 with Fantastic Day. And you're listening to Wake Up to the Weekend Extended Edition. And we've got in the studio Rob Littler from Victoria Music Limited, or VML as we also like to call them. How are you doing over there, Rob?
I'm okay, thanks. Just see Gaynor's just joined us. Good morning, Gaynor O'Grady.
Good morning,
Can
Gaynor.
I just say hello to Helen Kiley and Claire Choate, who are also listening now, please?
Yeah.
So don't leave anyone out.
No. Hello, both of you. And hello, Gaynor. And Gaynor's... she's playing the landlady in 2 by Jim Cartwright, which is at the studio on July the 4th, 2018 at 7 o'clock. And we're also entering into a festival which is on June the 16th. So I'm sure you've been learning your lines while you've been on a holiday, Gaynor. I'm sure you've had and I hope you've had a lovely time. And I hope you're having a lovely day.
Do you know if she hasn't been learning them, she'll lie anyway? You do know that, don't you?
Yeah, I know. Let's press this button and see what happens.
HCR
92.3 FM.
So, Rob, did you enjoy that last song? Fantastic Day.
I did. It takes me back to being 21.
Oh, wow.
All those years ago, yeah.
I thought you were 21.
Thank you.
Oh,
You can have a part of my next play.
Yeah, that's Rob stealing his cast back because I borrowed some of it.
You've borrowed Gaynor, I'm having Tommy, yeah.
So, Rob, can you tell us about this your well-being project that's coming up?
Well, it's been going for last September we started the sessions, and I'm rebranding it actually because the word well-being is bandied about a lot these days. And unfortunately, it's picked up by people who don't actually understand the term, I think, because well-being encompasses everything. It's not just about mental well-being, it's about social connection, community connection. So I think from my point of view, the sessions that we run on Thursday afternoons at St Michael's in Runcorn and Friday morning in St Paul's in Widnes, I'm going to rebrand them as Widnes and Runcorn Friends, really, creative craft, music and chat in the community, just so that there's something there that's permanent, so they're not transient sort of 5-week programs. People know, I mean, even if 1 week I have to turn up and I'll sit there on my own waiting for somebody to come, we're there for them for when they need a bit of community. And if I can just sort of go off on a tangent a bit, we were talking earlier about mental health, and I'm somebody that's suffered with severe depression most of my adult life. So I come from a point of empathy rather than just wanting to do good. And we all get it wrong at times. We don't recognise people's... we can see people who have a limp, people who have a broken arm, but you can't see when people are struggling mentally, really. And it's really difficult for people to ask for help these days. And particularly if they're men as well, because men need to sort of be strong individuals and, and support their families. And there's a lot of pressure in society today. And then we've got the isolated people. We have somebody with stage 4 cancer coming to us. We have people who just want a bit of community. And for that reason, I think these sessions are going to become a long-term project for VML. And any profit that we make from our shows and from fundraising goes to pay for these sessions and to create a sense of belonging for those people isolated in community.
So what kind of things do you do there? You teach people?
We don't teach, no, because I think teaching is the wrong thing, because teaching can, when people just want to be there, teaching can come across as very patronising, I think. I think for me, it's about just letting people find their own way. Oh. So, for example, yesterday we were doing clay modelling, we were painting mandalas, because the wellbeing sessions have also... they created the hats for the and the cross for the crucible. Oh, right, so they come along and then they get tickets, complimentary tickets to see their work in action, if you like. I see, and they've been painting mandalas for almost 6 months now, which are going to be strung together as 60s curtains with reflective backings on for the 60s show, so that they're a part of what we're doing as well.
Oh, I see,
so although they're not performers and they don't want to be, that they're there, getting out into the community, meeting people, lovely biscuits. And I have to say that Karen Dunbar, who supports me in these things, she brings some lovely biscuits. I buy the cheap ones, she brings the expensive ones.
She's the real star.
She's the real star, yeah. She brings all the expensive biscuits and the chocolate ones. I buy the cheap ones from Aldi, And they come along, they do that, and then they get a chance to see what they've helped to create, because it's important to feel a sense of belonging into community. When people are isolated and alone, you feel worthless, really. And I think everybody touches everybody's lives, and how you do that in a positive way is to make people feel like they matter. And to VML, people do matter, and that's been the whole ethos of why I started this in the beginning.
How long have you been going for now? It's about 10 years, isn't it?
It's over. It's nearly 12 now. Nearly 12 years, and it's grown. And in some ways, it's grown to a point where it can no longer be this one-man band that it was in the beginning, and it was in the early days. And then from about 2010 we started to lift our game. Our shows got bigger, our cast got bigger, and people have come and gone, and that's good, because I just hope that those youngsters particularly who've moved on to college and things like that we've helped to create a positive base for them in life. And I know that's true from my daughter's point of view, because my eldest daughter was going to do CSI or whatever she planned to do. She changed tack after she stage managed our house for us, and is now in going into her third year of stage management at Birmingham, and doing really, really well. And there's a great future for people doing that sort of thing, because you can do corporate events and stadiums and theatre and all that sort of stuff.
This is what I'm trying to get across to young Tommy here. That's why, I mean, he may well do more of this at college, but I'm trying to teach him help him. I don't think you can teach people anything, really. They already know it.
I think you nurture them. Yeah. I think it's about facilitating what people want to get out of community, really.
Yeah.
And there are some people, who don't get it, but most people really know that we're there for them, and that we're there to nurture what it is that they want from us, be that the big sing where people just want a community night, be that the Thursdays or Friday sessions that we do, which is now going to be called Friends, or be that the performing arts group, the drama and the music. We give people the chance to do what it is that they want to do. And very often, Tommy, being behind the scenes as well is just as rewarding, because you're part of the camaraderie of it all as well. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. I would say, look, because I don't perform, I hardly perform in anything that I do, but I still get the wonder and the beauty of seeing other people fly as a response of what we're doing.
Yeah, so there you go, Tommy. There's some good advice from somebody who...
Sherry moved the mic then, and I rendered Tommy speechless.
Yes, you did, yeah.
It's too late now.
Oh, it's too late now. Okay. Live radio, folks. You can't. If you could just see Tommy's face there, it was quite a picture. So, what initially made you want to get into community, Rob?
I grew up in community, and my mum was a professional singer for a start, and she toured with Dorothy Squires years ago, which means nothing to people like Tommy, but he was actually married she was married to Roger Moore. She was his first wife, so she's quite well known in the 50s. And then and of course I got my passion for music from her, and my passion for community. My mum was vice president of the Liverpool Liberal Party for years, so I went into politics and then put myself through drama and music school when I worked in the House of Commons as a research assistant. But through that came my love of community and looking after people, because it was my job as an MP's assistant, and before that a councillor's assistant, to deal with the problems in the community and in the constituency, and to go out and visit. And I was actually a steward on the Silver Jubilee visit in 1977 to Queen Elizabeth, and I was a yellow-bellied, not bellied, yellow-bellied steward on the Pope visit in 1982 or 1981, whenever it was. So, sorry, I'm just reading your screen. It's throwing me. I shouldn't do that. So I've always been passionate about community and being involved and having a stake in the community and just being there for people, really.
That's great. And you do. A lot of people who might not ordinarily get into music or drama can get involved, can't they? And that's one of the big rewards about it. We've just Rob's totally mesmerised by the email that's just come in from Gaynor. So hello, Gaynor, and would you lie about learning your script?
Oh, that's Gaynor. It threw me. I wonder who.
Would you lie about?
Of course she would. This is Gaynor we're talking about.
How dare you ruin my stage mother?
I don't care. Gaynor's in the Vagina Monologues in October, and she better be off script already. I'm telling you.
I hope she's off script.
So I'm going to play. I'm going to keep talking to Rob as the show goes on. I'm going to put another song on for you now. This one is called "Somewhere in the City" by The Loving Spoonful. You're listening to Wake Up to the Weekend. I'm in the studio with Rob Littler from VML, Victoria Music Limited, which is nowadays it's a giant of a community company. So if you've got any questions for Rob, you can email us.
Polite ones, please.
Yeah, polite ones, please.
Email your community radio station.
studio@hcr923fm.com.
Or if you're brave enough to go on air, you can phone us.
Give HCR a call.
01928 835 291.
Question 1 is, what plans do you have for VML and Runcorn Friends for the future, Rob?
Okay, before I answer that, I want to say a big shout out to Lee Norwood Green, who's with us, who's just said, go ahead, Rob, whatever that means. And also to Lynn Clark, my wonderful safeguarding officer and oldest trustee now. She's now listening in. Drew, I think Friends needs to grow. I think we need to start really getting passionate about the aims of this charity and what we all do this for. There's a beauty and an enjoyment in putting on theatre, but there's an even greater enjoyment knowing that those profits are going to the good of the community and not into the back pockets of people or whatever. I mean, you know, we're not going to sit on profits, we're going to use them for the common good. As for the future of did you ask me the next question? Because I can read it here.
I didn't.
Good, you can ask me. Go on.
I'll ask you it now. Yeah. Where do you see things heading next?
At the moment, I'm taking a bit of a hiatus. Is that the right word? I'm just trying to sort of get my head around where we're going next, where I'm going next with VML. But from the point of view of theatre, I want to really see the drama side grow, because I think we've created something wonderful with adult drama, and I think there's a real passion there amongst people like Drew, who didn't realise they had a passion for acting until they started doing it, and I want to see that grow and grow, really. If that means more smaller plays back to back, then so be it, because it's very difficult to cast a play with 20 odd people in, because they don't exist often.
That's one of the things I found as well, Rob. You know, with people, I'd love to see more people in Halton get involved in drama. I feel like there's a lot of people out there who would, but it's finding them, you know.
Yeah, and I think the problem is quality. If you're passionate about doing quality drama, then you have to stick with classics or find good writers who can really write good new stuff, and then it's hard to sell freshly written drama because it's an unknown commodity to audiences. You know.
Right, yeah. Have you got another question? Oh,
yeah.
There's another question just come in now. Go on, Tommy.
So, a question from Darren Gibbons, sorry if I messed up your name then slightly, is, would you consider having your own radio show and talking about musical theatre?
See, the reason Darren's given this question, I think, is because he's chairman of VML, and I think it's something that he would like to happen as well, and it's something I've bandied about for a few years now, and I've had the chance to and never got through it. Darren, I have to say yes to that. The question is, I've considered it a lot, and in fact they've got a new live lounge here in the next door here, so the cast can come in and perform live to tracks too, rather than just playing stuff that we've recorded or whatever. So it's really something that I would like to see happen in the future, when we can get the funding to do it. Maybe something we can look at together.
That's right, yeah. I mean, the live lounge, we only just launched the live lounge about 3 weeks ago here, so it's absolutely brand new. And if you,
it looks fabulous as well, yeah.
If you could be one of the first to start using that would be really brilliant. I mean, everyone here at Halton Community Radio would love that, yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll come in as a guest on one of your shows, Sherry, one day. Yeah. We'll arrange that sometime in the future.
Oh, fantastic, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'd love to do that. So can I take you back a little bit now to Our House? That was one of my absolute favourites, because I love madness and I love musicals. Yeah. So can you I'm going to play a song by Madness, which is actually Our House, because it's probably my favourite song. Yeah. So what inspired you to do that? Why Madness? I mean, we're going back a bit now, aren't we? But
but don't forget though that I'm a child. I was a teenager in the late 70s, early 80s. Well, I was 21 in 1981 when Madness were at their height. So for me, they were part of my youth. So when I was looking for a musical after Little Shop of Horrors, I wanted to do something that nobody else had done, and on the Brindley, and Tim Firth, who wrote it, is local. He's a Frodsham guy, and he's just written a new musical with Gary Barlow. So I chose that, and I passed it over to Adam Chotu. I wanted to direct it and say, can you look at this and see what you think? And I think he was blown away from the very outset. And it was just a wonderful thing to do, and the music is so uplifting, and it's a dark tale on one side, but it's still had a happy ending and a happy feel to, unlike the Crucible where everybody dies. it had a happy ending.
Yes, the Crucible's quite a dark play, isn't it? But I mean,
you can't do happy all the time, though, can you? Life's not like that.
You can't do happy all the time. You can't be happy all the time. And I mean, I've got a friend who, when I play music in the car, when I'm trying to find, which songs to put on for the this Halton Community Radio, and she's always like, "Oh, turn it off, it's depressing." But you have to listen to.
Oh, there's nothing like a good depressing song when you're down, is there?
Exactly. Sometimes that's exactly what you need because it's cathartic.
It's wallowing, and so everyone needs to wallow occasionally.
Yeah.
We're all hippos under the skin, I reckon.
I think there's something in that there, Rob. Yeah. But this song is actually a very cheerful one. This one is the title track from the musical Our House by Madness. It's 10:30 and we're talking in the studio with Rob Littler from Victoria Music Limited. We've just had an email in from Eileen Felton who says, "Don't forget the likes of me who thought they wouldn't understand the Crucible or Macbeth." And I think...
Hamlet.
The Crucible.
It's Hamlet.
It's Hamlet, yes. Tommy's written down Macbeth. Were you planning to do Macbeth at all?
I was, but it's quite character heavy, and I thought after the Crucible we need to do something lighter. I did book a slot for it next February at the Brindley, but we're looking at what we're going to do. It won't be Macbeth this time. But I have to say to Eileen, and by the way, before I do, can I just say a big shout out to Caroline McKay. Love you, Caroline. It's nice to hear you listening. I just want to say that for me, I think there's a lot of snobbery in theatre. There can be. In professional theatre, seriously, we don't think the masses are quite educated enough to get Shakespeare and the Crucible and things like that. Well, nuts to that, because what we did was we made it accessible to everybody, and everybody came. Not only did they understand it, but they went away having had a really, really good quality night's theatre at a fraction of the cost they would get anywhere else. So, and that's what we're going to grow. That's how we're going to grow the drama group.
I'm reading some of the reviews on Facebook and things. People were saying it was actually at least as good as a professional production for Hamlet, which I loved it. I thought it was brilliant.
You know, we're an amateur group. But or even amateur groups can strive for professionalism. The only thing that makes us different to professional groups is the fact that our actors don't get paid and that we're a charity. But in terms of what we do, the passion that goes into it and the commitment from all the people involved makes it as professional as it can be at this level.
That's right, yeah. So, I agree with you. I found quite a bit of snobbery around when we were doing Shakespeare, because we did it with a community theatre group, and some people really take themselves a bit too seriously, don't they? With
Shakespeare. You see, Shakespeare is difficult to understand. We get that. It's old English, but once you get it, you get it. Exactly. And you don't need to know. Really, you don't need to know. Understand everything that the actor's saying in a soliloquy or whatever to get the passion and the meaning. Because there's some things still done in Latin. And people who don't know Latin still, I mean, we listen to opera, and some people can't speak Italian or whatever language they're written in. It's the passion that it comes across that creates the character that helps tell the story. Right. So never be afraid to go along and see Shakespeare, because there's a lot of wonder in Shakespeare.
Yeah, that's right. So what kind of responses did you get from your people when you suggested you were going to do Hamlet?
Well, I think they're so used to me coming up with these ideas that they kind of just run with it. And I'm not a boss. If they'd have all said, no, I'm not doing it, I would have either looked for a cast outside the group, because I really wanted to do Hamlet. Because I had the lad who wanted to play Hamlet, and I'd cast it around him in the same way that we cast Little Voice around Kirsty Walker. And so on. So I would have gone ahead anyway, and they know that, but they trust me enough to know that I think I know what I'm doing,
Yeah, I think they probably do. So, with Little Voice was written by, I'm just making a link here, we're written by Jim Cartwright.
Yes.
And we're doing a play by Jim Cartwright as well, which is called Two. So, but bringing it back to Little Voice, tell us a bit about that particular production.
Little Voice was directed expertly by Adam Chose. I'm sorry, he's getting too many shouts out today. I'm going to have to stop. And starred Darren Gibbons, who's the chairman, and Helen Jenkinson, who was just phenomenal as Mari. Never played a lead role in her life. We turned her into this foul-mouthed fishwife for 3 nights. But we had a bit of an accident with Little Voice. I cast it around Kirsty Walker, and on the first night, she came forward to take a bow, slipped, and shattered her wrist. Ended up in hospital, so she couldn't go on. So we had to replace her within 24 hours or cancel the show. And the license we would have been in breach of and everything. So we did that. So thank you to Jenna Highfield for stepping into the breach. But also Hamlet on the second night, as you well know, collapsed and broke his nose. So that's why I don't want to do Macbeth, because eponymous heroes tend to get injured. So we're steering clear of a play named after anybody at the moment.
Don't want to.
No, don't want to tempt fate. No.
Have you got a question, Tommy? Hang on.
Knowing our luck, something like that will happen at the performance of 2. I can just see one of us falling as we...
You know what? I really wish I'd never passed him the microphone.
Exactly, really. Don't tempt fate. Not in theatre. No.
Yes, that's kind of Tommy's thing, yeah. So, would you say that just being involved in drama in general helps people with their well-being? What does it?
No, it does. Of course, it does, because what it does is it gives them a chance to be someone that they're not, or to be another person. And that you hear that all the time. People say, "Well, I'm not myself on stage. I'm adopting a character," and I think that's good for them because they can do things in character they would never dream of doing themselves. And particularly the woman again that played Mari in Little Voice, Helen Jenkins, is one of the sweetest, ladylike people I've ever known, has ever been close to as a friend, and yet she was effing and jeffing and practically stripping off at some point, and it was just wonderful to see, and I think that the camaraderie and the teamwork between her and Darren Gibbons was just so magical. It came to life, and I think a lot of that's to do with the direction, but I think it's to do with the personal connection that they have as friends too, so much so that I'm gonna drop a bombshell here now. I'm hoping that sometime in the future I can create an evening with Darren and Helen for people to come and see, and we'll put some music and comedy together, because there hasn't been a better team in comedy than them two for me locally. I just got it completely, what they were into, you know, and how they interact with one another, and you could see them when they're rolling around on the couch. One of them had forgotten the lines, and they're whispering each other's ears, "What's my next line? What's my next line?" And it's that sort of fun that they brought to it, you know.
Fantastic. So you want to put an evening with those two together. What about you're doing an evening with yourself, with Rob Littler?
I am Rob Littler in guest. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'll tell you if it's a good idea on the 11th of November. It happens on Saturday the 10th of November, and I just thought I put myself out there all the time, telling people how to do things and why we should do things. And they say there's a great saying that people who do people that can't teach. And I wanted to prove just once that I can do as well, you know, and I wanted a chance to sort of just be myself and just let people see that I'm capable of, but also why I do what I do. And I think that would come across with an intimate evening in the studio with songs and questions and a couple of duets with some of my friends. And I just think it's going to be a nice night, and I'm looking forward to putting that together.
So that's in November.
That's Saturday the 10th of November at the Brindley Studio, yeah. So you've got a while to put it together.
Yeah, you have. But you've got a very busy schedule between now and November, no doubt.
Well, we have, because we've got Mad About the Musicals. Then I've got an August workshop with the kids. Then we've got the 60s are back on the 3rd of September. Vagina Monologues in October. And after the July concert, we'll be rehearsing the next drama for next February. So, yeah, there's and then all the well-being that's going on in between, and the big sing and youth drama, because we've got a youth drama group that happens on a Wednesday, ably led by Michael Clark while I'm taking a break, and it's just it's just never ending, really.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it all. Well, I do kind of now, I've known you for a while now, but having talked to you today, you've just got a great team, haven't you? That's
yeah, absolutely. But then I have to say thank you to you, because people might not know that you wrote the original music for Hamlet, that, you know, all the scores and all the sort of fanfares and all that were originally written by yourself, and actually recorded by yourself too. We used the original recording, so that played a lot to the atmosphere of Hamlet and really lent itself well to the production.
I'd love to do that again at some point if you're doing anything. Yeah, thank you for that. And Tommy didn't know about that, did you?
There you go.
You just threw her in it.
So let's put some more music on now. This one is called Happy People by Little Big Town. We certainly do. We deserve to be happy while we're here, and that's what well-being is all about. Mark Henderson is in the studio this morning over there. Hello, Mark. You can't hear me because of
the great soundproofing.
Soundproof, yeah. So he's obviously not listening to our show, which is a shame.
Yeah.
So he's busy setting up in the studio. Is that Studio 1 or Studio 2?
Studio 1.
Studio 1. So I believe you've got a fun day coming up soon, Rob.
We have, organised by our fundraiser, the wonderful Eileen Felton. We're taking over the halfway house on Halton Road on the 1st of September. And it's just going to be a fun day, bouncy castles, stalls, various things, maybe a karaoke can go on to the evening, just to raise funds for the well-being, for the friends sessions. So anyone that wants to come along to that and support us, that's happening at the halfway house, Halton Road, on the 1st of September.
Fantastic. So yeah, I would definitely recommend getting along to that if you can. And if you can't, then try harder.
Okay. Thank you. If you can't, then we don't want to know.
Okay, so we've only got 15 minutes left. It's flown by today. We've got another song. This one's an oldie by the Teardrop Explodes. I run an after-school club, which has been going for years, and although I love working with the kids, I needed something for me. So she's obviously getting a lot out of the drama, and I think she's a member, but we're not going to name who she is.
No, let's not name, because it's quite a personal thing to say that. And,
but it's lovely that she's getting that out of the drama, and it's helping. I can see.
It gives an extra focus, doesn't it? It gives you a purpose other than the mundane and the day-to-day life, It's something different, isn't it?
I think as well is like being a part of something that's much bigger than yourself, because none of us could do that without a team, and I think bring people together that they actually need each other, really, don't we?
I think, and I find this is why I don't perform in a lot of stuff. I like to be a team player myself, even though I'm the leader of VML. I've always tried to lead from the standpoint of just being a team member. I mean, occasionally I'll crack the whip, but you have to. Every ship needs a captain. Somebody has to steer in the right direction. But from my point of view, it's about team. If you can't be a team player, there isn't really a place in community for you, because you should be in it for other people, first and foremost, I think. And then what you get out of it is a happier side and a really positive thing.
Exactly. How can people get in touch with you if they want to join VML as a drama or the music or anything?
Okay, well, we have a Facebook page for drama and one for VML itself. We also have an email address, which is Victoria Music Limited Ltd @gmail.com, and we have a website, victoriamusic.com. It's not been updated recently because the person who does it for us is the girl Kirsty, who broke her wrist. So she hasn't been able to type much. So she'll be back to fighting fit soon, and she'll be updating that. But all the contact details and all the classes, all the groups rather, are on the website. So that's victoriamusicltd.com. So victoriamusiclimited.com.
That's great. It's been really nice talking to you, Rob, today.
It's been nice being here, Sherry. It's been nice to be able to sort of remind myself as well just exactly what we've achieved over the past 12 years,
It's been absolutely great. I think I said this on Facebook. I've been absolutely amazed how fast you've grown, and it
was a slow burn at first, but I think the more you do, the more people notice and recognise. I think we're getting a good team behind us and a good following in the community as well now.
That's great. Have you got any last questions, Tommy?
Go on, Tommy. You just need to ask me how wonderful I am, don't you? That's
Go on then. How wonderful are you, Rob?
Marvellous, mate, honestly. Do you have any questions, Tommy? Because you're like younger member.
Tommy's a drama student at Cronton College, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
so asking.
So do you know George Reese then? Have you come across George Reese? He's doing drama.
I've seen him around the college because he does A level, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I'm not actually on the same course because I do the vocational level.
Right, okay.
It's split up like that.
Go on, give us a tricky question to finish with.
If a gun boil could boil oil, how much oil would a gun boil boil?
Okay. That's not exactly what I meant. I don't know. And I bet you don't either.
Any questions about drama at all? Because we worked with his tutor on The Winter's Tale, didn't we? Daniel.
With Daniel.
We did, yeah. Winter's Tale was a fascinating thing to be involved in. Very, very avant-garde, I thought. But I mean, the vocalised adult came on with sheep on their head, singing "Top of the World." That's always been a really bizarre memory for me.
I think that was a bizarre memory for everybody who went to watch it, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Right, Tommy, have you got... So, all that's left really is to say goodbye. We're passing over to Mark Henderson at 11 o'clock. And I'm sure Mark will have a good show for you lined up. One more song then. It's going to say what it is.
This is Paradise by George Ezra, and I would just say thank you for coming on, Rob.
Thank you, Tommy. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
And I will hold you and I'll be there.
So, thank you for listening, and tune in next week. It's next week we'll have another an extra hour. And you've been listening to Wake Up to the Weekend with me, Sherry, with Rob. So you can say goodbye, Rob.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Seconds away from the news, which is all about the Visa card, I believe. I think they're coming back.